Hey guys, GrizzlyGo here, and today I'm here to talk about the subject of Jackal, seemingly everyone's favorite band which Ubisoft has decided to rework. Our main focus here is to figure out just why Jackal is being banned so much and what Ubisoft can do to prevent it, as well as some other things to mention. So to give a quick rundown if you're not aware, Jackal is receiving a change in which the number of scans he receives is based upon the age of the footsteps, as shown in the graphic on screen. He's also losing the ability to scan from below, and the ability to rescan old footprints as they disappear after he scans them, which I would say is a pretty logical and popular change. So with that information, we will dive into the subject at hand. Why is Jackal so hated? He isn't overpowered. If we look at the graphs that Ubisoft released recently, he's picked often. His win rate is negative, so why is he under so much scrutiny? Well, if you aren't living under a rock, he annoys the living crap out of people. As for most recently, Ubisoft's newly released frustration scale, Jackal tops that scale by far. And to follow that, he's also dominating the ban rate, being first in both categories. So just why is he so damn annoying? Well, let's see. Conventionally, there are only 3 ways you can scan a defender on the UI. Number 1, a conventional drone. Number 2, a line scan. And number 3, a Jackal scan. These are the only 3 ways you can scan somebody and put them onto the UI. You could consider Dokubi, but her situation is a bit different. So, what are the differences between these 3 options? With drones, they're available to all operators on the attacking team, which are a physical entity within the playing field of the map, which are easy to counter or destroy. You can counter a drone by looking for it with audio and visuals and using any ballistics or explosives and many operator gadgets like Mute and Mozzie. With Lion, it is his primary ability. However, it is not an entity within the playing field of the map, meaning you cannot destroy it or shoot it. You can counter a Lion by standing still, using mute jammers, activating Vigil's ability, or just simply killing Lion. Substantially less counters than drones, but it is enough for it to be balanced while adding the fact that he has immense cooldowns and limitations on his activations. So lastly, we have Jackal, who like Lion does not have a physical being and where his gadget is, other than on himself. You can counter Jackal by playing Cav, or rolling on the floor over the map, which isn't the most conventional thing, but hey, by all means, do it if you want. I can't stop you.
Well, secure!
Down to 5 seconds.
So if we put these pieces together, Jackal is pretty hard to counter. But let's stop and think for a second. What is Jackal's real capability? He can scan you like a drone, but with less risk and hassle. Unlike Jackal, Lion incentivizes you to stay in place and he has the potential to scan the whole team, while Jackal incentivizes you to move, whether that's back to the objective or somewhere else on the map. But he's limited to scanning one person at a time, so with all these things being said, why is Jackal still being banned like he's the plague? We need to think more outside the box here. We need to go way back, when Lion was introduced. When Lion was introduced, he was broken, simply said, as shown in the graph. He was extremely powerful, but take a look. Watch Jackal and Lion on the graph after each season. If you notice the trend on the graph, immediately after Lion was nerfed, his pick rate dropped and Jackal slowly went up. Now Jackal did receive a small quality of life boost, but it'd be rather unlikely to say that that caused him to end up where he is now. I find it rather odd because before Lion, Jackal was not popular whatsoever. He was on the bottom left of the graph season after season. So if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, Jackal's rise could be accredited to Lion's downfall. Now, although this graph might be slightly skewed due to the compensation of bans, we have to account for pick rate. Jackal is more likely to be picked rather than Blackbeard or Nomad, which according to the graph have higher win rates. So then why is Jackal picked so much? Well, what if we ask, why was Jackal added into the game in the first place? To give you just a very brief history lesson without making you fall asleep, the roaming meta at the time was becoming very widespread, and some people had trouble adjusting to it, so Jackal was added to counter it. But at that time, Jackal wasn't really thought to be all that. After he came out, of course. We thought he was busted when we saw what he could do, but we saw what happened after his release. If we're being honest, previously Jackal was really only relevant in the matters of the death trio mollywop combo of Dokubi, Lion, and Jackal, when that was at its apex. And if we fast forward to where we are now, he's picking ban's food and he's getting the biggest changes he's ever got since he was introduced. In fact, before pick and ban, the community wanted to get rid of the scrambling effect when you would get shot at when the scanner was turned on. It is also extremely important to note that Jackal has never had a positive win rate, according to the charts that Ubisoft has provided us with. So this begs the question, is the only reason Jackal is being so scrutinized is because of pick and ban? It would be difficult to say that this would still be happening if pick and ban wasn't implemented. With that being said, Ubisoft's objective here is to get him banned less. But in my evaluation, I just don't see him getting banned less, or at least even noticeably less. I asked my followers on Instagram what they thought about the situation, and even they agree. I just don't think it'd be possible for Jackal to survive in pick and ban like this, even after the rework. So what do I think they should do with Jackal? Well, that's a good question. I have an answer. What Ubisoft is doing right now is on the right track, but it won't be enough. The least they could have done was this and shortening the maximum footprint time from 90 seconds to at least 60 seconds. But think of it this way, I have a real rework idea. Go back to when I was talking counters. Countering Lion by standing still is a realistic universal counter for him, right? But having to prone to counter Jackal, that just doesn't cut it. The way I see it, if you're in the crouch position, even if you're moving, you should not leave footsteps behind. Because let's think of the issue and then think of Jackal's purpose. People hate being scanned, especially when it's not something you can destroy like a drone. But that's how Jackal is, and Jackal's job is to stop roamers. If this mechanic intimidates roamers to crouch, that slows defenders down. It adds some dynamic between offense and defense. This lessens the aggressiveness of the defense and lessens the annoyance factor of Jackal. I feel if this mechanic is added on top of what's already being added, there is a chance that Jackal will be seen in ranked again. But that begs the question, what should they do with pick and ban? Pick and ban isn't working the way Ubisoft intended it to be. Rather than strategic and well-planned team decisive bans, it's just a pool of 4 of the 5 same operators being banned for every game. I'll talk about pick and ban in another video. But what does the future hold for Jackal? From going to an under-average operator straight to an auto ban, we can only hope that Jackal mains will be able to exist again. These changes are good, and I'm sure that many people would agree with the changes too. But people want more. Changes to the balance of capability versus counter with Jackal is necessary. There needs to be a better balance. Maybe with what I suggested in the 90-second trail footprint sync change might be one of the last things that needs to be tuned for Jackal to have a chance in daylight for ranked. But only time will tell what will happen to one of the most mysterious operators in Rainbow Six Siege history. But before I end this video, I want to ask you guys a question. Where did the Jackal hate come from? Was Lion just a smokescreen to Jackal? Did pick and ban kill off Jackal? Is it something I didn't mention? Let me know of your opinions and responses down in the comments below. Other than that, if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate if you left a like. And please have a great day. Grizzly Goat out.
By Op 4.
I think mine.
Ready for slow-mo. Loading new mag!
Be advised, Op 4 has located a bomb.
Reloading!
The bomb diffuser has been successfully deployed. One friendly operator remaining. Op 4, last operator standing. failed to disable the diffuser. Op 4 has acquired a bomb.